Well, I'll tell you who knows the importance of getting the right man in the job, and that is President Trump, who has finally picked the new border czar. As we know, the former one under the Biden administration was Kamala Harris herself, and we saw over 10 million illegals pour over the southern border. It has crippled their economy, taking care of all of these illegals, putting them up in hotels, making sure they've got accommodation and food and all the rest of the things that you need to live. Well, his name is Tom Homan, and here he was speaking at the RNC conference a couple of weeks ago, longer than that, would have been closer to a month prior to the election, telling those illegals what they can expect if indeed Trump took the White House.
I got a message. As a guy who spent 34 years deporting illegal aliens, I got a message to the millions of illegal aliens that Joe Biden's releasing our country in violation of federal law. You better start packing now.
And this guy is straight out of the gate telling Fox News exactly what he plans to do in order to crack down not only on the illegals in the country, but the over 300,000 children that were lost in that ginormous wave of illegal immigration and suspected to now be embroiled in illegal workshops and even child sex trafficking.
Border operations have to happen. Here's why, Steve. Where do we find most victims of sex trafficking and forced labor trafficking? At work sites. And the Biden administration shut down work sites. On one point, we say we care about sex trafficking and human trafficking. Then they shut down work site enforcement, which is one of the main areas we find the victims of this. I want to add one more thing, another priority. This administration has lost over 300,000 children. That were smuggled in this country by criminal cartels they can't find. That's another priority. We need to save these children because some of these children are in forced labor, some of these children are in sex trafficking, some of these children are living a life of hell every day. And we need to save these children and get them back with their families.
I love him. I love him already. Thank you, Tom Homan. Let's get this show on the road. Check out what he had to say to a 60 Minutes reporter who was asking him, well, aren't you going to be breaking up families by deporting illegals? He said,
We have seen one estimate that says it would cost $88 billion to deport 1 million people a year.
I don't know if that's accurate or not.
Is that what American taxpayers should expect?
What price do you put on national security? Is that worth it?
Is there a way to carry out mass deportation without separating families?
Of course there is. Families can be deported together.
The solution is simple, lady. We'll keep them together. We'll send them all home. I love his response to her
really
estimation as well.
Like,
there's been a report that says this would cost $80 billion. He's like, well, what is that even based on? I'm not gracing that with an answer, really. And also, I would have wanted him to address the issue of, well, having them stay here is going to cost even more of that. We're already leaking billions of dollars, American taxpayer dollars, on illegals who do not belong in the country. Add it up over a few years and there's your $80 billion right there.
If this is the guy who's going to handle the southern and northern borders, America is back.
Oh,
because this guy's a former New York police officer, a former border officer. He used to head up ICE.
Yes,
and,
he's seen it all.
He's got form. And during the Obama administration, he was charged with initiating deportations and did a great job. In fact, he was given an award by the administration back in 2013. So he loves his job. He was wanting to come back to do this. And I just like the fact that he won't be manipulated. I love the way he handled that 60 Minutes interview. Is that a price that you'd be willing to pay? He just responded, well, what price do you put on national security?
Indeed.
He handled it beautifully, as he handled beautifully Democrat darling Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who said, as you would expect the left to say when they talk about deportations, but what about the children?
Zero tolerance was interpreted as the policy that separated children from their...
If I get arrested for DUI and I have a young child in the car, I'm going to be separated. When I was a police officer in New York and I arrested a father for domestic violence, I separated that father from his family.
Mr. Homan, with all due respect, legal asylees are not charged with any crime.
When you enter the country illegally, it's violation 8 United States Code 1325.
Seeking asylum is legal.
If you want to seek asylum and go through the port of entry, do it the legal way. The Attorney General of the United States has made that clear.
Okay.
That is a textbook example of one person dealing in facts and the other person dealing in feelings, and I don't need to tell you who ultimately triumphs. He's good, and...
He is good, and I've got a feeling that he's going to conduct all his duties while riding a horse. But... what it speaks, that's right. I mean, this guy is like, it's just like, here's
a gunslinger.
Here's Walker, Texas Ranger in real life. But it speaks more to, and again, maybe we saw it a bit with the 60 Minutes questions, maybe we saw it more with AOC, but this actually speaks to the whole reason why the Democrats just had their asses handed to them at the last election. Now, the one demographic that that is hurt the most by unchecked illegal immigration is poor working people, low-skilled and unskilled, low-paid workers. And that is overwhelmingly and as we've seen, surprise, surprise, where was the biggest turnaround, the biggest demographic that turned around and voted for Donald Trump? In the case of the men, first time ever he got a majority, Latinos, Hispanics.
Yeah.
So these were people who were not voting along racial lines as the Democrats expected them to, because identity politics is fundamentally most outrageously racist, eugenicist prism of thinking.
Yeah.
Oh, you're Latino, you're going to vote for us, or 70% of you will, or whatever it was. Or you're black, you're going to vote for us. And another big shift that we saw, more black male voters coming to Donald Trump. Again, these are the demographics that are the most likely to be in low-paid, underpaid work and unskilled work. And these are the people whose jobs are most at threat by illegal immigrants coming in, working on the brown market, working in the cash economy, working for rich people like many of the people who now dominate the Democrats and dominate the liberal East and West Coast media in America. And these people just cannot see it. They cannot see that by waving the flag and showing how holier than thou they are about these people coming in. And it is just showing how holier than thou they are, because they're not the ones dealing with them. They're not the ones putting them up. When they come to the northeastern New England states, suddenly they go, oh, no, not here, no, not here. It's like when you try to build an apartment block in Mossman. Oh, we support the housing crisis, but it's just not here. Oh, we support asylum seekers, but oh, no, not in Martha's Vineyard. And this is the reason why the Dems lost in a landslide. They were not representing the interests of working people, and it's actually pretty clear they didn't even know or care what the interests of working people were, because if they realised it, they'd realise that the biggest threat to low-income Hispanic workers in America legally is low-income, low-skilled Hispanic workers entering America illegally. But because they see everything, it's almost not an exaggeration to say that they are so absolutely racist in their virtue that to them they just all look the same. They're all just Hispanics. They'll all just vote for us, legal or illegal. And that's a disgusting way to look at people. You wouldn't look at politics. You wouldn't look at you wouldn't look at Charles Manson and Ronald Reagan and say, oh, well, they're both white. They're probably going to vote the same way, or they probably have the same values. This is why this result is and must be the death of identity politics once and for all.
And the other thing that will be interesting is to see here in Australia whether the Albanese government wakes up to the fact that you can't get immigration and borders wrong, otherwise you'll be punished at the ballot